Hey friends, Jesus once said, "Blessed are the solitary and the chosen, for they will find the kingdom. For you have come from it, and you will return to it." The Gospel of Thomas, saying 49. These words were often overlooked, but in a quiet corner of small town America, they came alive in a way few expected. Cedar Grove was the kind of place where life moved slow. A two-lane road cut through the center, lined with weathered storefronts, an old diner with chipped red stools, a barber shop that doubled as a town hall, and a church with a bell that could be heard for miles. Everyone seemed to belong to everyone else, except for one man, Ethan. He lived on the edge of town in a dented silver trailer surrounded by rusted car parts and wild grass. A gifted mechanic, he could bring a dead engine roaring back to life, but his own life felt stuck in neutral. The people of Cedar Grove respected his skill, but whispered about his solitude. They saw him as a man who had chosen loneliness, or perhaps been chosen by it. One gray Sunday morning, Ethan wandered into the church for the first time in years. He sat in the back pew, head down, grease still under his fingernails. Pastor Avery read a verse Ethan had never heard before. "Blessed are the solitary and the chosen, for you will find the kingdom." The words struck him like a hammer on iron. Ethan had always believed his isolation meant failure, that his quiet life made him less than others. But here was Jesus saying that solitude was not a curse. It could be a doorway to God's kingdom. That week, as the sun dipped behind the cornfields, Ethan heard the squeal of bicycle tires and a crash outside his garage. A boy, no older than 10, lay sprawled on the gravel, his knee bloodied and his bike twisted. Ethan rushed out, lifted the boy gently, and carried him inside. His hands, rough from years of tightening bolts, cleaned the wound with surprising care. He hammered the bike frame straight, greased the chain, and handed it back good as new. Moments later, the boy's mother, Sarah, new in town and visibly exhausted, arrived, breathless with fear. Tears filled her eyes when she saw her son standing safe, clutching his fixed bike. Ethan simply nodded and went back to work, saying little. Well, as in every small town, word spread. But this story carried a warmth. Soon people noticed other quiet acts. A bag of groceries left on the doorstep, a furnace repaired in the dead of winter, a widow's car fixed with no bill attached. Ethan never sought recognition. He preferred silence, and in that silence, God worked through him. The townsfolk began to see what Ethan himself had finally understood, that solitude didn't make him less. It made him open, available, a vessel for grace. Ethan's life in Cedar Grove became a living sermon of Jesus' words. Blessed are the solitary and the chosen, for in his quietness he carried the kingdom within him, and by his hidden kindness he let others glimpse it as well. And for the people of Cedar Grove, They learned a truth they'd never considered. Sometimes the greatest light shines not in crowds, but in the stillness of a solitary soul walking faithfully with God. God bless you, my friends.